Namaste. Welcome to this session of Filter Coffee with Rajesh Govindarajulu. That is myself. I'm very glad to have the young, early teenage author who's just 14 years old, Dhyanesh, with me. I'm very happy that to tell you that I'm deeply impressed with the commitment of this youngster. May this dharmic boy grow up to be a luminary in the world called India. That is Bharat. Thank you for being with us, Dhyanesh. And
Thank you, sir, for having me on this
we
show.
are online with the Atmanirbhar app called Vayam. We've been using this app in order to bring in the Make in India moment a little more valuable and successful, and it is helping us to restore our economy faster than the rest of the world, thankfully, due to the Make in India program and the Atmanirbhar efforts. Well, this book is part of a trilogy, it looks like. Book number one by Dhyanesh. And what is this book number one? Legacy of Rudra, the Laser Eye Warrior. Wow. Tridalam Trigunakaram Trinetrancha Triyayudam Trijanma Papa Samharam Ekabilvam Shivarpanam. Trinetrancha, the Trinetram. Legacy of Rudra, the Laser Eye Warrior. Dhyanesh Shankar is really young. He was born in 2007 on the 27th of December. He's only 14 and a half years old. He's a homeschooler, and that's interesting. Has a keen interest in writing. He started attempting. He loves to read and research Indian history and culture. He likes to explore the similarities between modern science and technologies described in ancient history. He also enjoys singing and is learning Carnatic music. Wow, you should sing a song for us then. Besides Tamil, of course, that is his mother tongue. He knows English and he's learning Japanese also. Dhyanesh is aspiring to present events and characters in a very, very interesting manner. No doubt that he has. His imaginative skills are very good, and he will become a legend. He has made his mark already. Well, Dhyanesh, I think this book can be made into a nice movie or a Netflix series. What do you say?
Of course, sir, if it will reach the hands of the people who need to see it, then of course.
Absolutely. A celestial warrior prince, Rudra, given the unmatched power of laser. Rudra, the prince of an interplanetary kingdom, is set to get a throne he doesn't want. His destiny to become the destroyer of evil and the savior of good. An obstacle stands in his way, his rage. Of course, Kovame Pavangalukkellam Thai Tandai. His gift of the third eye, the laser eye, is a sophisticated and destructive weapon that needs to be harnessed. Anger is one form of energy, and that needs to be harnessed. The Asuras have come up with the leverage that could destroy the universe, mindless clone warriors. Wow. A higher power instructs Rudra to stop it. Will he be able to control his anger and save the universe using his powerful weapon? Does he rule the universe in the end? Dive into the stellar world of Rudra and explore the stars like never before. Wow. I've had the opportunity to read the trilogy by Amish Tripathi. Then, of course, the trilogy, The Rise of Dharma, about Yudhishthira by Samanti Chakravarti, the first book I've read. I've always been impatient with trilogies because I never wanted to, at a personal level, see any serials because the story does not get completed. A story should be completed and a new story should come. I suppose Dhyanesh got some message from the sky, and this book is a book by itself. In spite of it being a part one, this book is a book by itself. The concept of time in different planets has been brought out by Dhyanesh really well. We were told that 360 human days was equal to 1 day for the Devas, and 10 days of the Devas was 1 day for the Saptarishis, and 10 days of the Saptarishis was equal to 1 day for the pole star Dhruva. Am I right, Dhyanesh?
Yes, sir.
So, when they said Dhruva will rule for 36,000 years, that is human years, that would probably be only 1 year for him. That shows the age of our civilization, right? If they made observations for such a long time, they must have observed it for hundreds and hundreds of years and hundreds of centuries and several millennia in order to come to this conclusion. What a great civilization. Rajvedam was telling us that our civilization is about 84,000 years old. The Indian one, at least whatever that could be discovered and found out. Everyone talks about 1500 BC to be the earliest period, or the latest when perhaps the Rig Veda was composed, says Max Muller. But I don't want to go by the theories of Max Muller and others because time has passed by. More of research has been made, and all these things are scientifically studied and analyzed, interpreted. Therefore, we have to push back our calendar. We find, Satyalok, we find Devalok, we find Kinnaras, we find Vidyadharas, we find Yakshas, Asuras, Devas, and people of the world. Very interesting. Bhulok. And everyone thinks that there's only one Brahma. When I was like as old as Dhyanesh, I came to know that Brahma is a position. And new people can come to that position. And Dhyanesh has brought that out properly. The Brahma that we are looking into is the Vrinchi Brahma. His consort is Saraswati. Their sons are Narad and Rudra. And Rudra takes a call, just gets away, goes around, and the rest of it is the story. Parvati, the daughter of Himavan, she has a brother called Mainavati. Very interesting to look at the story of Parvati, her sister Ganga. And we get to meet Vasava Indra, his sons Mahendra, Jayanta, and of course, wife Sachi, Varsha. So many characters. Dhyanesh has given a very good introduction to each one of those characters. And also, we have a glossary of terms to help us. I am really amazed. It is not that he has written about Indian mythology. I'm sure he would be able to write about any other subject also. But the narration is fantastic. It is unimaginable. You have to pinch yourself to understand that this is the output of a really young boy. A boy as smart as Dhruva, a boy as devoted as Prahlada, or I would rather compare him to Ashtavakra. What, Dhyanesh? Ashtavakra was able to do so many things, right, when he was really small. So, this story deals with the wanderings of Rudra, the Vidyadhara Nandi, who can take a human form and also an animal form. He talks about Rakshasthal, Mansarovar, Mount Kailash. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I must definitely say, that needs quite a bit of reading. Where do you find the time? And then talks about all these Vimanas, interstellar travel, the doors, the cannons, the kind of metals and the gems which are found in the Vimanas. Talks about a demon called Gataksha and his clones. We have heard of Rakta Bija in Devi Mahatmyam. Here we find something else. And all this he has done without hurting the Indian culture and tradition. That's what is interesting. I appreciate you for that. Most of these authors who are writing, they make Indians feel really apologetic, or they make us feel as though we belong to an immoral, unethical civilization, or that our ancestors were criminals, or that we were very superstitious and nothing happened. But Dhyanesh has circumvented all that in a beautiful manner, and accolades to him for that. You're a true
Thank you.
Dharmic Indic author, an example for the India of the 21st century. And in the 21st century, through you, we can visualize India at 2070 or 2080. That visualization will make us feel happy, comfortable, and we will also understand that India is extremely progressive. You are a child prodigy, and it is very rare to meet somebody like you. How did you first come up with this idea? What made you choose this topic, Dhyanesh?
Like every Indian child, I have been fascinated by the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, and I have tried to write those epics in short form with my own words. And then later on, I was introduced to Amish and Chaturjit Nath's work, and they also inspired me to write this book. Some phenomena from these epics, they are discarded as mythology just because they cannot be explained by current science. But what I think is that our ancients were far more advanced in every field, be it astronomy, interstellar travel, the creation of multiple advanced weapons, and many, many more. They also travel between galaxies and into planets as we see described in as lokas. And they established civilizations there and grew from that. The time dilation, I have seen that it's been described too, and you can see that just like you mentioned a while ago, Dhruvalok and the Devas, their time relations, it can be explained through time dilation in science. And time dilation occurs between two different planets, and that's why Dhruvalok and Devalok, Satyalok, etc. I try to visualize them as planets. And what led me to Rudra was because I didn't really think writing about Rudra, to be honest, but but the but the power needed to control that rage, and and how Rudra's third eye could be explained by the modern technology of laser was also very interesting, so I chose Rudra.
Wonderful. All of us go through bouts of anger. Anger is not out of bounds, but the harm that it does. Rudra is different. He is a celestial being who came to live on earth. And laser is a right word. Everyone talks about the fiery eye, the third eye, the inner eye. Then you also brought out Shiva's Nataraja and Rudra's Nataraja. And the dance of Parvati and Shiva is also brought out really well. That's really interesting. Then, of course, we get to know that the story of Sati. Probably you'll touch about the past of Rudra more in the next book, maybe. And we get to see the birth of Ganesha. That is also really nice. The tiny elephant head god as a baby, how the mother must have held on to him and how she must have played with him. And what a lovely sight it must have been. Then, of course, we find the Navagrahas, their combination and their presence. You've spoken about Shani interestingly, how his skin looks and how Shani communicates. Whatever that I may say and talk about the book and found it in here, as found here, I must definitely say the book is to be explored by the reader. It is full of action, full of speed, but also at the same time, it is making us think. Sometimes, if we start thinking, we lose speed, and if we are very fast, we stop to think. This book is making us do either. And that's a very important aspect. And that is very important in storytelling. Especially in the world of today, where Instagram and WhatsApp, Facebook, WhatsApp calls, the new app called Aratai, which has come out of Zoho Corporation, and then the Koo app, and then of course apps like Vayam. Everything is like instant. So when we read this book, we feel all this happened really because we are living in that kind of technology. Along with that kind of technology, right? So why could it have not existed earlier? We don't know. Just because we have not been able to visualize or do something, it does not mean that we can become so-called cliched rational. Correct? Where they'll say, oh no, come on, how is that possible? But if it is possible today, it could have been possible before. And it can be possible later also. Correct? And the construction of the spacecrafts, the Vimanas as they are called, how they land and how people have been using them, the colors of the Vimana, and what is that metal? Virala, right?
Yes.
You have used a metal called Virala here. It's very interesting. I wanted to get hold of that Virala and make something with that. So it's very, very exciting. I thank Rudra for helping me to find you. And the Thriyugi Narayan temple. Beautiful. And Narasimha and Bhargavi. Very nice. Bhargavi is the spouse of Narasimha, an incarnation of Lord Vishnu. And then, of course, how Parvati gets her mount, the lion, is brought out very well. She is known as Simhavahini, no? And there is a Simhavani Stotram also, I was told. So, and the manner in which Ganga behaves and how her ornaments are used to direct water. Interesting. I'm a jeweler myself. I was wondering, I can start telling people you wear these ornaments, there'll be water in your borewell, or water may come home, or your water body will go up. So the bejeweled Ganga, and not so much of an ornamentation for Parvati. And Pralayavati, the capital of the Himavatyans, all of it is very, very interesting. Then, of course, the story of the Nagas, the story of Vasuki, how they get to meet each other and what happens between them. Quite interesting. I've seen all these old black and white movies. I was not born at that time, and we had to see them in our television when they were released on television, and sometimes through the video or in the CDs. As we were growing up, it was all more of the videos, VHS cassettes, NV300 deck, top loading, if I remember. All these stories of the interesting characters like Bhuloga Rambayan Kadal, Fertile Imagination, Maya Bazaar. These movies were all, I think, made many, many years before I was born. Maybe my father was as old as Dhyanesh or even younger. All that has been made into a reality in this book. I can imagine a beautiful Vimana made out of noble metals so that it does not undergo destruction, traveling in space from one planet to the other and getting out of one galaxy and going to the other. Mount Meru as the universe. That's very interesting. All of us think that Mount Meru is somewhere in the Himalayas, but here he has made Mount Meru the universe. So going from one place to the other, the interstellar travel, it makes people understand the time concept of time in a relative pace. The same planet, I think Mercury goes around the moon in the sun in probably less than 100 days, say 96 days, right? And we are told that Pluto, though it's not a planet anymore according to the new list, takes 248 years. But finally, one round around the sun is 1 year. So we understand the Dhyanesh has brought all that out for our benefit. Very interesting. On behalf of the Veranda Club, we actually thought we will use one quote found in the book. If you are in a problem you can't get out of, think of the thing that matters to you most. You will find a solution. Very well said, Dhyanesh. A wise head on a young shoulder. The names of the chapters are very, very nicely done. Anger control, age-old war, rain of fire, the diamond serpent, repentance for a virtue, snowstorm in Himavat, siege of Swarga, torrent choke, the wedding crashers, wow, a marriage for history, the last battle, the legacy continued. Shiva and Parvati's wedding in Kailash is brought out beautifully well. So, what did you use to construct the concept, Dhyanesh?
I have researched on the Puranas and some other texts like the Yoga Vasishta and the Mahabharata, etc.
The famous scholar Dr. Shobita Punja, who wrote on Khajuraho, stated that all the sculptures in the temples were based on the marriage of Shiva to Parvati. A very auspicious marriage. This marriage helped us to get out of the obstacles and also vanquish Tarakasura, Surapadma, etc. I think probably Dhyanesh will be dealing with them in the forthcoming work, because we find 6 sparks at the end of the book. I'm curious to see how the Tamil god Muruga was born in the Himalayas out of 6 sparks, and how these sparks were given to Agni, and how he placed them on 6 lotuses, our national flower, in the water body, and how the Kartika constellation girls pick them up once they are kids, and how all of them play with these 6 kids, and how Parvati comes over to these 6 kids, and how he gets his 6 heads and 12 arms, and then he becomes a normal child. So that will be the victory of good over evil. And of course, the role of Ganesha, the mango story perhaps might come. I'm curious to see how Dhyanesh is bringing it out, or may add or may lace the story with something interesting and get it out. So I find things from Mahabharata, from the Shiva Purana, from the Skanda Purana. All the Puranas are here, found here in small pieces here. He has taken the essences of Indian mythology, the essence of Indian mythology. Essences, I use the word because the essence from various Puranas. So I would not call it a medley of what is found in the Puranas, but the essence from each one of them. So we are looking at a very happy family, right? He's brought out everything as a family only. In today's world, everybody wants to break the family system. Once you break the family system, culture is destroyed. So the ones who are talking about social justice and socialism are happy. On the other side, the consumeristic people who are only interested in selling more and more are happy, because single mothers, single fathers, more houses, more washing machines, more number of grinders, mixers, and cars. Here we get to see everything is in the form of a family. Indra, Vasavendra, one family. Rudra is making a family. Virinchi Brahma, a family. Everything is a family. And even the past is also based on families, marriages, etc. And all of them have gurus. You find Atri here. You find, Kama and his wife, Rati. Very, very interesting, because, you're talking about the seasons and how, of course, in other books we've read how Kama travels with a chariot drawn by parrots, and how each flower in the sugarcane bowl will create a mood and a situation. I would not like to dwell about that, because that is not the subject of this book. But yet, how things change here and what happens to Kama, and what happens to his wife. Then Saraswati thinking about her father, an earlier Brahma. Here we are told that, there is a queue system to become a Brahma. So it is a position. The job is professional. The soul is eternal, but the job is professional. Then, of course, we get to see the Vajrayuddha. I think we'll get to see more of the Vajrayuddha later. It surfaces from somewhere. So the Vajrayuddha is there. So you have Vishwarupa. All these people are coming here. I grew up reading a lot of mythology, listening to stories connected with mythology. I was at ease and at home with this. Now, Dhyanesh, I want to ask you, what do you read actually, or where did you pick up all these stories?
I have read about Amish and other authors in this Indic world, and that is mainly where I get all my literary ability.
That would be for motivating you. Your literary style is original. It does not look that you're following any of these authors in terms of style. And the style is second to none and very good. But where do you pick up the stories? Like, how do you research?
Yes, I read the Puranas and the Itihasas on the internet, and I guess imagination over, and I connect them with science, formulate a story, and then it all just comes through.
Very nice. I've read about Thor, all these Scandinavian gods, and some of the Greek gods, about Medusa. We were made to believe all that in school, of course. And here we have, this can be part of non-detail for any 10th standard or 9th standard. And it still can be a good read for anybody who's, a grown-up adult. Who helped you in this?
I didn't take any help. I wrote it on my own, and I guess the only one who helped was Rudra.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So, hats off to your parents also for having supported you. I suppose homeschooling helps because you can do things at your own pace and learn things at your own pace. So, with or without a degree, now your book can become part of the syllabus in a BA or MA English literature or somebody's study. Correct? It's very interesting to look at the names that you've used: Bhava, Sati, Daksha, Duvan, and not many people are aware of these names either. Daksha Prajapati, his daughters, and incidentally, I think if I'm not mistaken, the town called Takkolam in Tamil Nadu is connected with Daksha Prajapati. It was also a place for the famous battle between Krishna III, the Rashtrakuta king, and Rajaditya, the crown prince of the Chola Empire in 949 AD. In Takkolam, it is connected with Daksha, where I think the goat head was fixed for Daksha at Takkolam. Or the goat head incident related story it is. So Kardama Prajapati, Daksha Prajapati, Kasyapa Prajapati, there are so many Prajapatis. All this should be brought out, I think, in the form of stories. It's quite fascinating and very entertaining too. And no wonder Indians were entertained and fascinated with all these stories for thousands of years. In fact, we took a very small but a bad break by stopping this kind of fascination, stopping this kind of activity. The first movies were all based on mythology, music and mythology. Then they said, no, no, bring the social theme out. But there were a lot of social themes in the epics also, which were all forgotten and thrown out. And glad that Indic authors like Amish and others giving us the quintessence of the past in a beautiful manner. So, do people come to get autographs from you? Dhyanesh,
Sorry, I didn't hear you. Yes.
do people come to get autographs from you?
No, not so much.
Not so much. Would you mind putting an autograph in the book that I have?
Of course, when I come to it.
I will send it to you. I'll send it by courier to Chennai, wherever you are, and you can autograph it and send it back to me. We are having a Lit Fest in the month of October. In Coimbatore, it's called the Western Ghats Lit Fest, a Dharmic Lit Fest. And we will invite you. Please do tell your parents that you're invited. Get their concurrence and kindly honor us by being in Coimbatore. We will get a number of school and college going boys and girls to meet you. We could possibly help get them to write similar stories. At least they can try. I'm sure you must be quite good with science also, not just writing and Indian mythology, because I'm able to see your thinking, the concept of time, relatively speaking, and also about all the stars, about spacecrafts and how they work, and cannons in the spacecrafts. All that has been brought out really well. I can imagine, a movie coming out in not just in Netflix, but in a Star Movies or HBO channel, or on an OTT platform with the, Rudra opening his laser eye. So when will the next book be ready, Dhyanesh? Dhyanesh? We seem to have lost him, and I'm sure he'll get back. But I must definitely say, dear friends, that Dhyanesh has done a phenomenal job. Very, very impressive. Somebody like this
The internet went off.
could possibly, get a Booker Prize or a Nobel Prize for English literature also. But notwithstanding all that, I think we should create an award for Dharmic authors for presenting Indian mythology and philosophy in the right perspective through fiction. I'm glad that in the world of today, where the Sanatana Dharmis are not given their due, Dhyanesh has begun to give them their due. Thank you so much. I'm grateful to you for doing that. And not only me, I've been talking about you with a number of other friends. Many of them are online in various platforms, which may or may not be visible here while we are watching this now. But I can definitely say You have made a nice beginning. Pillayar Suli, they say. That Pillayar Suli is very good. And you really balanced it also well. Dhyanesh has balanced it well. See, Narayana and Rudra, Shakti, these are the primary deities in Sanatana Dharma, and everybody else is associated with them. He's brought it out well, and therefore, the aspirants who belong to different schools of thought and beliefs inside Sanatana Dharma can all pursue and read this book and enjoy it simultaneously. None of them are made more or none of them are made less. Lord Vishnu is known as Kamalodhara because he has a lotus on his navel and Brahma sits on top of that, and Rudra, the child of Brahma. This is one side, and on the other side you have another different kind of relationship which talks about Rajarajeshwari, Rama Sahodari. Like Rajarajeshwari or Parvati is the sister of Lord Vishnu, and in Madurai you have the Meenakshi Sundareshwarar Tiruvanam or Kalyanam or marriage, wherein the brother comes for the sister's wedding. So there is one wedding of Shiva in the north, and there is another wedding of Shiva in the south. The second wedding perhaps was for Agastya, who moved over from the north to the south. And also for all of us to think that and understand that Lord Shiva is Sarva Vyapi. And these marriages keep happening time and again. So there is one Girja Parinayam, Parvati Kalyanam, Meenakshi Sundareshwara Kalyanam, Valli Tirumanam, Srinivasa Kalyanam. All these Tirumanam means marriage. So I'm so glad that the Saptapadi or the 7 times circumambulation around fire to solemnize the wedding has been brought out beautifully by Dhyanesh. As married people, we are aware, we are made to do all these things when we get married. So that has been brought out well, where we get to see how Shiva is getting married to Parvati and the crisis which takes place at the time of the wedding, the war, the battle, and how that is sorted out. In a normal life also, whenever there's a marriage, somebody tries to disturb it. And that has to be, the disturbance has to be shackled. Here it is in the form of the Asuras invading. Then of course, he talks about the snowstorms in the Himalayas. We are able to go and see Mount Kailash. Tirunavukarasar says, Ponnar Meniyame, one who has the body which glows like gold. We are told that if you go to Kailash, Mount Kailash glows like gold. Tirunavukarasa or the apostle, one of the 63 Nayanmars, did not have to go to Kailash, but he was given the vision of Kailash on the banks of the river Kaveri in Tiruvayar. Correct? Upper Trikkailaya Kachi Kanda Idam. They say wherever Tirunavukarasu or Appar saw Kailash, that he saw on the banks of the river Kaveri, Ayyarappar temple or Panchanadishwara temple at Tiruvayar near Tanjavur and Kumbakonam. So just as how Tirunavukarasu gets a glance of the wedding and Kailash at Tiruvayar, the book of Dhyanesh was making me understand and see the marriage of Lord Shiva to Parvati or Rudra to Parvati, and that too on a Friday. This morning I read that part. And today being a Muhurtam day, I was indeed fortunate to do that. So he has given an auspicious beginning. And we are continuing with that auspiciousness. We are all very happy to see young, budding, talented boys like you. We are looking at all these English movies, the old movies where, normally the negative portrayal of youth and kids is on the rise. And it's quite disheartening to see that. Through this book and through people like you, I think there is some hope. Why some hope? A lot of hope. I only wish thousands of young boys and girls read this book. This book should be made available to thousands of school going children all over India. And why India? Anywhere else in the world. When they read this, probably they will use the search engines to look out for the characters found in this book and understand more about them. Like as to who's Sati, who's Daksha, what happened then, why this now, what are these things which are going on in the mind of Shiva and why, who's Gataksha, what was he, based on what, and about Mohini the enchantress, the bewitching enchantress, and how, and also the origin of the Brahmastra, how sounds make a very big difference. Yes, it does. Some sounds frighten us, right? A sound can make somebody very happy or can even make someone unconscious. So, why can't a set of sounds be used to operate a weapon? A very rational and logical question that I'm putting here today. Not to Dhyanesh, but to the people who are talking about all these things in a negative manner. So, we get to know about the Brahmastra, we get to know about the Nagas, we get to know about the Vasuki and how the Nagas work. Quite a bit of clarity. Unless someone has clarity and depth of thought, it would not be possible to write a book like this. And no publisher, would publish it again. Notion Press has done a very good job. I think Dhyanesh will be somebody whom we should look out for in the immediate, intermediate, and in the long term also. And people will be happy to have known him. So, do you play any games, Dhyanesh?
No, I don't indulge.
Any form of exercise?
Yes, I go walking, that's it.
Oh, very good. Any meditation, pranayamam?
Not right now.
No.
But I do aspire to do that in the future.
Very good. Very interesting. It is not, easy to come up with something like this. You can write one or two chapters, two, three essays, especially in a world where only rote learning is ruling the roost. People want to by heart completely, write their exams, get 100 out of 100 and go to the medical college or engineering college and immediately want a job where they can make millions, buy this, buy that. And, there's a very thin line between greed and ambition. And they call it aspiration. Aspirational India is welcome, but definitely not a greedy India. And through this book, I think we can build an aspirational India, aspirational youngsters for our country. When they read books like this, they will know what they have to aspire for, the right kind of aspiration. Of course, the Purusharthas are also here. He talks a bit about the Purusharthas too. Correct? So, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, the goals of life. So, what is your message, Dhyanesh?
Yes, my message is to control anger, just and that our ancients possessed more knowledge than we have right now, and to accept that and explore what knowledge they had in terms of vimanas and the astras they used and how sound waves could be destructive in science.
Controlling anger is very important. We get to see all the shootouts in the United States. Somebody takes a gun, goes into the classroom and shoots kids, and it's one of their classmates only. Or someone goes into a mall and shoots. Sometimes people are caught in the hands of angry and crazy dictators. It has been happening all along. India was lucky we never got to see people like this ruling the whole country. Somehow, even if they tried to, it came to an end very fast. Controlling anger is very important. You can be free from blood pressure, diabetes, or any other form of disease. Your heart will be in order. I'm glad, Dhyanesh, that at this age, you've understood that it is important to control your emotions, and particularly the emotion called anger, and that we should not be sensitive or short tempered. A combination of both could be extremely destructive, correct? You brought that out very well. How I wish that I'd read this book when I was 12, 13 years old. Many of the episodes connected with my own anger would have reduced at least by 90%. I'm glad that you're thinking about it right now. I only wish that people read this book only for the purpose of learning how to control their anger. And of course, it's a wonderful read. Action packed, fast paced, rapid, racy, and also thought provoking. It fits all these things at the same time. The book is kind of a multitasker because it is doing all this with us. And that shows that the author is a multifaceted youngster. I have to use all my skills, all my abilities to imagine and bring out the right words to describe the book and to describe your work and yourself. And to that extent, it is making me think well. And therefore, I can say that it is a marvelous exposition. May God bless you and may your tribe increase. Your parents must be very happy with you. Has any interview of yours come in any of the newspapers?
No, not yet.
So is Veranda Club the first agency or media house to bring you out?
Yes.
Oh, thank you. We are so glad
Oh, the pleasure is all mine.
because we have a first with an ace in the world when Formula One races and IPLs are being watched. In a world where the night is spent partying, in a world where the mind cannot be calm or controlled without the use of drugs and items like that. Books like this will bring in calmness, they will bring in joy, they will bring in entertainment and make people enjoy watching sports better and happy, watching car races happier, and will make them begin to think at least. That is very important. The Indian has been very rational, and the DNA of that rational aspect has undergone numerous filtrations and sedimentations. And I can see that in youngsters like Dhyanesh. When somebody comes and tells us that Adi Shankara composed Kanakadara Stotram when he was a little boy, you'll find it hard to believe. Oh, come on. How can such a small boy come up with the composition? This term Kamalodara comes out of the Kanakadara Stotram only. When I heard that while I was even much, much younger than Dhyanesh. And today when we see a real person like Dhyanesh and the book that is written, we will be able to understand that And Adi Shankara, a young Adi Shankara, a young Madhva, could have really existed those days. And they did exist those days. They were very clever, they were very smart, they were very wise. So it is not that knowledge has come suddenly. The cycle of knowledge has been going on in India for a very, very long time. There have been several ripples, several waves, and those waves have been carrying the huge vessel called knowledge all around the world. And India is the fountainhead of philosophy. The Vishwa Guru, as our Prime Minister Narendra Damodar Das Modi ji says, India is a Vishwa Guru. And when I was looking at the economy also, the first millennium of the common era, even the Chinese came to India to pick up knowledge. At that time, India was the biggest economy in the world. And with the help of the knowledge from India, during the second millennium, after a few more 100 years, the Chinese economy became bigger. So Indian skills, Indian books, Indian thought processes helped them. And the Arabs took our knowledge to Europe. And the Europeans also came here and went. So once again, Indian knowledge came to the aid of the world. So this lamp was being passed around. The lamp, the beacon light of Indian knowledge. And now it is being lit once again in India. In the right and in the proper and in the best form possible. Youngsters like Dhyanesh Shankar, the son of Shankar and Madhuvita, are the beacon lights today. They are making all of us and the kids of today understand the importance of Indian culture and tradition. Through this book, it is possible to imagine a beautiful interstellar travel episode and how people would have traveled inside the craft, what they would have possibly worn, what they would have possibly eaten, and how they slept, how they got up, and how they spoke with each other. How did the doors open or close? Did they get stuck? Or how were they destroyed or captured during the Puranic and Itihasic times? Many of that and more about all that can be found in this book, The Laser Eye Warrior. It is a first of its kind, I must definitely say, because it has brought out the quintessence of India beautifully. You find, people would like to visit Manasarovar, would like to see Mount Kailash, and would probably search for the Triyugi Narayana temple there, would probably want to go to a shrine of Narasimha and look at him once again, would want to look at the lion, which is in Gujarat at the Gir forest, and imagine how the lion could have been the mount of Parvati, and the nice bull, the Indian bull, the strong bull, the native bull. They would, how beautiful it would have been at those times when warriors like Rudra went on the bull. We were told that the bulls carried the scriptures on their backs. Scriptures were tied up in fabric and hung on the backs of the bulls when the old saints, mendicants, and mentors were traveling inside our country. Saint Madhvacharya apparently had one bull which was carrying his scriptures. And when somebody asked him, who will tell us later? They said, why not? He showed the bull. Later they say that bull incarnated as Tikacharya or Jayatirtha. So the bull, Nandi, the Vidyadhara, is brought out in a very interesting and intelligent manner. And we can relate to all these stories and a lot more. All the best to you, Dhyanesh. Looking forward
Thank
to
you.
meeting you in person. My congratulations to your parents. May Saraswati, Dakshinamurti, and Hayagriva bless you with wonderful knowledge and wisdom. Furthermore, because you already have it on your young shoulders, so let them further it, and may all your dreams come true, and may all your dharmic goals be fulfilled. And thank you for keeping us in your journey. Jagannathan and myself at the Veranda Club are very, very happy to interview you and to introduce you in the world of modern media today. Your time has arrived. Enjoy it, relish it, be good, do good. Thank you so much, Dhyanesh.
Thank
May
you
God
so much, sir.
bless you.
Thank you. Namaskar.
Namaskaram.